Let's talk about phrases that narcissists use to control you. There are a lot of different ones that they use, but the good news for you is that narcissists actually do use the same types of phrases that in all different sorts of situations. I mean, the one thing I often say is that they're horrible, they're heinous, they're toxic, but it's almost like they use the same playbook. They are actually pretty predictable in their behavior. Are there different types of narcissists? Absolutely. There are. There are covert narcissists, there are grandiose narcissists, there are malignant narcissists. And by the way, if you want to know more about covert narcissism in relationships, I do have a whole video on that. I do believe that covert narcissists are probably the most dangerous type of narcissist in a lot of ways because they're the most difficult to detect. A lot of times they're the stealthiest ones. They look kind and sweet, and a lot of times they paint themselves as a victim. Sometimes they're like downtrodden, oh poor me. They guilt trip people a lot of times. And so a lot of times the coverts are the most difficult ones to spot. And the two that I had to deal with that targeted me were both covert. So going back to phrases that narcissists use to control you, one of them is no one else will love you the way that I will, or no one else understands you the way that I do. No one else will deal with you. Basically trying to make you feel like you're so disgusting, repulsive, horrible, whatever in some way that you might as well not go anywhere else because they're the only ones who can, manage you, handle you, like you, love you, whatever. But yet somehow they love you, they like you, they deal with you, they manage you. But, you might as well stick with them because they do. But it's like kind of messed up because why do they stick with you and like you and love you or whatever? It kind of defies logic. But yet that is something that they often will say, so it's sort of like to get you to stay because if you go anywhere else, you're going to be rejected. You'll be alone. You'll be isolated. So you might as well stick with this person who's basically mentally, psychologically, and spiritually abusing you. So that's number one. Number two is they talk in absolutes. Everyone else thinks this, or no one else thinks that. Like basically to try to get you to believe that whatever it is that you think is just stupid, dumb, ridiculous, not based in reality. If you're trying to make a point to them about something that you think, usually about something about them, they'll try to use this collective, who the hell knows who. You don't even know who everyone else is, or no one else is. But these, nebulous whoever's don't agree with you. They all agree with the narcissist, whoever these people are. But it's meant to try to make you feel bad. It's meant to try to make you feel like your opinion is completely discredited, invalidated, means nothing, and therefore you shouldn't have it because, whoever their flying monkeys are, they all are lined up with them and against you. So that's another kind of phrase that narcissists use to control you. Another type of phrase that narcissists use to control you And there are going to be several of these. We're going to go into the types of phrases that narcissists use within the gaslighting realm. By the way, I do have a whole video on how to shut down gaslighting, which you should definitely check out as well. But so these are the types of phrases that narcissists will use to make you think that you're crazy, because gaslighting is meant to make you think that you're crazy. It's meant to make you feel like whatever it is that you're thinking isn't true, to make you question your mind, to make you question your reality, to make you question what it is that you believe that you saw or you heard, or what you're seeing isn't what you're seeing, or what you're hearing isn't what you're hearing, or what the conversation is that you believe took place isn't what you took place. Your feelings aren't your feelings. That's what gaslighting is. So they will say things in the gaslighting realm such as, you're oversensitive. So you're oversensitive is to invalidate your feelings. So if you are feeling hurt about something that took place, then they'll say you're oversensitive. You shouldn't be hurt about that. That's meant to invalidate your feelings. Another gaslighting phrase is something like, we talked about that, and this is what we agreed to. You agreed to this, don't you remember? And you'll be like, we didn't agree to that. We never had that conversation. We agreed to this, or that conversation never took place at all. They will change the details of a conversation, or they'll basically say that you agreed to something that never took place whatsoever. That's total gaslighting. You'll say, you said this, and they'll say, I never said that. I never said that at all. Again, that's gaslighting. They'll say things like you're delusional when you're trying to say something about how something took place, or how you're feeling about something, or your perception of something that's happening. You're delusional. I mean, that's totally meant to just say you're crazy. I mean, that's straight up gaslighting. Straight up gaslighting. You know, if you see a text message between somebody and a coworker, you know, maybe it's your husband and a coworker that looks flirtatious or something, and, you know, it doesn't look totally appropriate. You're just jealous. And it turns out maybe you weren't just jealous. Maybe there was something going on between them. That's all gaslighting. Those are all gaslighting types of phrases. You know, they're designed to make you think that you're crazy. Another type of gaslighting is in conversation, where you're trying to have a conversation with them and you'll say, I want to talk to you about, you know, these text messages that I saw. And they'll say, why are you bringing that up now? And you say, well, when would be a good time? And they'll say, oh, I don't like your tone. Well, I didn't raise my voice. Yes, you did. You just raised your voice. And now I can't talk to you because you're raising your voice at me. And now you can't get to the point of it because they keep interrupting you about that. Oh, now you just interrupted me. Oh, now it's about this. Oh, now it's about that. And you can never get to the actual point of the conversation because they keep talking about other things. And, you know, they'll bring up something else, or they'll bring up something else, or they'll bring up something else. Again, you know, project, deflect, lie, deny. If you've seen any of this so far, I'd love to see it totally in the comments, because I'm sure that you guys have seen some of this so far. Okay. And then the next kinds of phrases that narcissists will use to control you are what I call guilt trip phrases. Guilt trip phrases. And you will definitely see this with covert narcissists. This is so much, you know, because of the victim mentality with covert narcissists. I mean, this is the one thing that you always see with covert narcissists. And I have a whole video on the one thing you always see with covert narcissists. You should definitely check it out. So guilt trip phrases. This is like, especially if you try to leave a covert narcissist, you try to leave a narcissist. They might try to say things like, I would die if you leave, or don't leave the family. I would commit suicide if you leave, or you can't leave the family. Oh, I can't believe you're spending time over there. I can't believe you wouldn't be with the family. And so they'll try to guilt trip you, so that you don't do the kinds of things that you want to do. They'll try to make you feel bad about having a life or doing other things or that. And so they will use phrases like that to try to guilt trip you back into doing the things that they want you to do. That's a little bit more passive aggressive. And, you will see passive aggressive types of phrases from especially covert narcissists, like, you've lost weight, but, you still have a ways to go, things like that, passive aggressive types of things from covert narcissists. It's like not so nice kinds of things. Like they try to say nice things, but then it ends up not being so nice, that sort of thing. But that's not phrases used to control you. Those are just passive aggressive types of things. But that's another whole story. But this video and this podcast is really focused on the phrases that narcissists use to control you. Okay, so I have heard it all when helping people negotiate with narcissists and break free from these toxic relationships. And they say the same things over and over again. The thing about narcissists is that they do have a pattern of how they speak. And that's the good news. I mean, the bad news is that it is so, so difficult to deal with them. But the good news is that there is a pattern in dealing with them. And so if you're kind of wondering, am I dealing with a narcissist? Is it true? Is this person that I'm trying to manage, communicate with, negotiate with, a narcissist? Well, check out this video and you'll know by the end of this video. And make sure you watch all the way to the end because I do have 7 different phrases here, and all of them taken together are, kind of a checklist for you. So you can kind of see, taken together, is this person a narcissist that I'm dealing with? Okay. And as I said, I've helped millions of people through this channel, thousands of people through my practice in coaching people through negotiations, through my law practice. So I definitely have seen it all. Believe me. All right. So number 1 is you make such a big deal out of everything. This is really a form of gaslighting. And gaslighting is a way of making people feel like they're crazy. It's a form of control. It's a form of destabilizing people. It's really a way of getting a narcissist victim to believe that they don't have power. And so it's something that narcissists use to make their victims feel confused. So you make such a big deal out of everything. That's number 1. Number 2, this is really from a male to a female. Okay. And this is it your time of the month? I know it is so misogynistic. It's so degrading. It's so devaluing. And it really is just so meant to be, I'm not giving any credence to what you're saying. I'm totally going to just devalue whatever it is that just came out of your mouth, because I'm just going to say, oh, is it your time of the month? That's number 2. Number 3 is other people's wives or husbands think blah, 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 other people's spouses, or in this same vein, it's even so-and-so agrees with me. This is all in the same line of everyone else thinks, everyone else believes or no one else thinks. It's a way of making you feel isolated. It's a way of making you feel like you're the only one who thinks this, or no one else thinks that. And it's actually also part of almost like a smear campaign that has started as well, because in that, they also maybe have started to speak about you to these people. And during the discard phase, you do see the birth of the smear campaign as well. And I do have a whole video on how to shut down the narcissist smear campaign, which I highly recommend that you check out, because sometimes the smear campaign can actually start long before you even know the discard phase has started, where they started planting seeds long before. They started saying things about you long before that aren't even necessarily where I'm saying something bad about the person. They couch it in terms of concern. A lot of times I'm concerned about this person's parenting skills. I'm concerned about this person's drinking. I'm concerned about how much this person is working. I'm concerned about their long hours. I'm concerned about how much time they spend away from home, something like that, where it's a backhanded smear. And so then by the time the discard phase comes along, they can say, oh, I told you, that they spend so much time away. So that by the time it comes time to go into a custody phase or something like that, they can say, oh, I told you that they were never around, or I told you they were a terrible parent, or whatever. Even so-and-so agrees with me that you were never around and that you're a terrible parent. Everyone else thinks that you're horrible. No one else thinks that you should have custody, something like that. And so, everyone else believes this or that. And, they do the same thing even in a workplace setting. So it doesn't have to be necessarily a marriage. It can be a workplace setting too. They do the same thing. So no one else thinks that you should get this promotion. No one else thinks that you're good at sales. No one else thinks that you are very good at this job. And everyone else thinks that I'm better at it. That sort of thing. I mean, it's the same principle. You can take this same principle and apply it across the board to whatever it is that we're talking about. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, why are you bringing this up now? So what they do is they take whatever it is that you are trying to bring up and they attack what you're talking about. They attack your tone, the timing, when you're bringing it up, where you're bringing it up, so that you never get to bring up the topic of what you're bringing up, so that you're never heard, because then you feel totally frustrated. You never feel like you matter then. It's a way of devaluing you. It's a way of disrespecting you. If you think that this is so true so far, put "so true" in the comments. Another one that they'll say is, I don't like your tone. I don't like your body language. I don't like how you're standing. I don't like your posture. Again, it's something else to attack so that you never get to the point of what it is that you're saying. And number 6 is, you're so ungrateful, or some derivation thereof. You're so unappreciative. You don't know how good you have it. Something like that. It's always something around how great they've been to you and how much you don't appreciate how good they are, and something to make you feel guilty. And especially if you are trying to ask for something from them, you are trying to get them to be held accountable for something, you're trying to hold them responsible for something, or you're even asking for them to acknowledge you or acknowledge your feelings, even not holding them accountable, even just acknowledge you in any way. That's when you're ungrateful, you're unappreciative, you don't know how good you have it, all of those things. They become a victim. They become a victim. Somehow it gets turned around back onto them. So that's number 6. And number 7 is you can never let anything go. You can never let anything go. Or can't we just move on? You're always starting problems. Can't we just move on? Why do we have to think about this? Why do we have to dwell on things? If you want to try to bring up anything that's an issue, then the next thing that they want to do is just forget about it, move on. Let's just sweep it under the rug. Let's just move on. Let's just get to the next level. You'll see, it'll all be better. And just basically future fake you. You'll see, it'll all be better. And why do we have to dwell on things? Okay, great. I already said it would be better in the future. Let's just move on. You got what you wanted. I said, fine. Okay, it'll be better in the future. From now on, you'll see it'll be amazing. And they don't want to hear anything more about it. And, they just try to love bomb their way into saying the rest of the time it'll be incredible. And they just want to focus on that. And they don't want to hear anything more about you, your feelings, how they may have hurt you. They just want to think about the future. They want you to think about the future because they don't want to have to be, held accountable at all. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to be held responsible. And they really believe that if they can just get you to think about the future, that you'll just forget about it too, that they can just love bomb you back into thinking about the future and that you'll just forget about it and that everybody can just move on. And then they won't have to be held responsible for it, that they can just charm you with their charisma the way they did in the beginning, and you'll just move forward. And, they don't care about your feelings anyway. So what difference does it make? They just want what they want. They want you to be pushing your feelings back into their direction. They don't want to have to spend any time giving anything into your direction. Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life. Then they turned out to be your worst nightmare. And then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell. Well, I developed something called the Slay Method of Negotiating with Narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized, high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I will show you how. So now let's talk about triangulation and flying monkeys. If you don't know what a flying monkey is, it is a person that is being used against you by that narcissist. And they may not even know that they're being used as a flying monkey, or sometimes maybe they know that they're being lined up against you, but sometimes they don't even realize that that's what's going on. And if you want to know more about flying monkeys, you should definitely check out my video on flying monkeys. But it comes from the Wizard of Oz,
where the Wicked Witch had flying monkeys, and these flying monkeys would kind of do her dirty work and go along with whatever it was that she wanted to do. They were just there kind of hanging out and being used against people, Dorothy, and there was the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion, to scare them, and also to intimidate. They were kind of scary looking, weird creatures, right? So that's what a flying monkey is. And the triangulation is part of what a narcissist uses to manipulate, punish, and control you. And definitely check out my video on what tactics they use for manipulation and control to learn more about what all of the ones are that they use. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, especially during the discard phase, then flying monkeys are going to start getting lined up. But they start lining up the flying monkeys even while you're in a relationship with them. Both of the narcissists that I had to deal with were doing that. And it was one of those things when it was happening to me that I could feel that these narcissists were talking about me to people they thought would, hurt me, or that it would be especially powerful to have them be against me in some way. And I could feel it, but I didn't know exactly what was going on. I certainly didn't have the terminology of flying monkey or triangulation or even narcissism. I didn't even know that these people were narcissists yet. At that point, I was really more just like, this doesn't feel right. Something's going on here. Something is wrong. I feel like these people don't like me, or they're lining up to be with these people. So I wasn't really sure what was going on. But here's the kind of phrases. There are certain kinds of phrases that the narcissists use in order to triangulate. One of the phrases that they use to you: everyone thinks, everyone else believes that you are an alcoholic. Everyone knows how difficult you are. Everyone knows how great I am. Everyone thinks that I am successful. Everyone else believes that I'm a great dad or a great mom. But you're the only one who doesn't think that. Everyone knows how I've built this business and how great I am to work for. You're the only one who has the problem. So kind of the flip of everyone thinks is you're the only one. And that's one of the ways that they start triangulating. And this is where I say that these are people who aren't, they don't even know that they're being used as flying monkeys. But it's a term meant to gaslight you, trying to make you think that you're crazy, is that everyone thinks you're the only one that thinks that. The second one is always. So they go and they tell people, she always says this about me, or she's always drinking too much. He's always late for picking up the children, always. So they use words like always to make it seem like it's just a constant thing. And, these are things that might have happened once. I mean, there might have been one time where you were late, either to work or to picking up the kids or whatever. And now this person is going to characterize this as this always is happening to other people. They'll say that sort of thing. So basically what's happening when they are trying to triangulate is they are trying to get this person to give them credibility, to give them validity, and also make you feel bad. So it's kind of like a double thing that they get out of this is they get this credibility, which bolsters their ego, which feeds their narcissistic supply. And coupled with it also makes you feel intimidated, makes you feel bad, hurts you in some way, makes you think that you're crazy and you're the only one, or makes you think that all these people are lining up against you and everyone is on their side and not on your side, or especially people that mean something to you. And if you have seen this and you have been a victim of this, and you know that this is not okay, give me a not okay in the comments. So the next one that they use is even. And how they use even is like, even the worst person in the world knows that fill in the blank. Even my crazy ex never acted as bad as you. Even your mother doesn't like you. Even the people on the street were looking at you and seeing how unhinged you were. Even the drunkest people at the party saw how your behavior was so bad. Things like that. So even is another way that they start to triangulate. And they might even say it to other people, like as they're talking bad about you, even that, the neighbors saw that or heard them screaming or heard him or her doing something or whatever. So these are the types of evens that they'll use for other people to try to line those people up against you and make you feel like, even the biggest scum of the earth is seeing you and judging you, or is better than you in some way. So the flip side of all of these words can also be used as well. So, every time or always can always be never. And no one thinks instead of everyone thinks. The idea is really just to try to make you feel like you're on an island alone, that no one else thinks the way you think, that everyone else believes that the other person is wonderful. You're never going to get anywhere. You shouldn't even bother to try. It's also to try to make you feel jealous, make you feel small, make you feel controlled by this person, intimidated by this person. They get everybody thinking that they're wonderful, and the flip side of you feeling terrible and intimidated or jealous, or like everyone thinks badly of you in some way and thinks wonderful of the other person in some way. So they'll use whatever they need to, especially with people that they think will be extremely hurtful to you, like maybe your family or other people that you work with, or people who are close to you. Anybody who they think that they're really, really good at finding the weak spots, the people who might fall for what it is that you're going to say. One of the things that I noticed when I was dealing with a family member who's a narcissist is that this person would go up to the other person and act like the victim. Like, I've tried so hard, and, they're just not kind to me. They're not good to me. And then the other person would come back to me and my husband and say, oh, maybe you could try harder, or maybe you could give this person another chance, or, because obviously that person who's now become a flying monkey has no idea what the history of the relationship was, or the kinds of things that had been done. They only know the sad story, the victim story. Covert narcissists are especially great at this. This is why I really just have a massive disdain for covert narcissists. If you want to know more about covert narcissists, check out my video on covert narcissism and relationships. I go into much, much deeper information about that. But they're especially good at playing the victim. And, this person who is much more powerful than me was able to take advantage of me, and it's not fair, and life isn't fair. And so that's another way that narcissists use as a method of triangulation.
Let's talk about gaslighting. One of the narcissist's favorite little go-to bag of tricks
And it's almost like they need to do it. They're like compelled. It's like a way of life for them. So gaslighting is a form of manipulation. It's a psychological form of manipulation to try to get control over you and try to make you think that you are crazy. And they use it in a lot of different ways, and especially in negotiating. When they are dealing with somebody during a discard phase, it really comes up quite a lot. So I have seen it a lot in my law practice. And so if you are negotiating with a narcissist in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in a divorce, a business partnership, or maybe it's even a family member, a neighbor, or somebody who used to be your friend, then you will see these phrases and these signs of gaslighting coming up in some shape or form, because they're actually pretty predictable. Even though narcissists are like really heinous to deal with, they're actually fairly predictable as far as their personality type. They kind of all act the same. You see it, a lot of people that are in my private Facebook group are talking about it thinking, wow, do they have all the same playbook? I've heard people say that. It's amazing. It's like we're talking about the same person. If you want to know more about the private Facebook group and you want to join us, it's called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. But they have, favorite gaslighting phrases that they use and also tactics that they use. And if you want to know more about gaslighting tactics, you should check out my video on gaslighting tactics, and we'll make sure we drop a link to that below. But on this video, we're going to focus mostly on the types of phrases that they use in order to gaslight you. So if you hear any of these phrases, you're going to know, okay, this person is trying to gaslight me. And if you are the target of gaslighting, you're probably starting to feel anxious, feel traumatized, feel like you're going crazy, like you can't think straight. You start to lose confidence in yourself. You start to think, you just can't do anything right. It spills over into other areas of your life, not just in dealing with that narcissist, but other areas of your life as well. You don't have the confidence to negotiate or do anything that you want to try to do. I mean, it spills over even into other relationships, your personal life, your business life, everything. You just are so anxious. You can't think straight. You feel powerless, paralyzed sometimes, and that's what the result is of constant gaslighting, because that's what they want. They want you to feel that way. They're manipulating you. Okay, so the first phrase that they use is, you're crazy and need help. So when you try to bring things up, you try to point something out about the narcissist, you try to say, what you did was wrong. Especially covert narcissists, they do these little passive-aggressive things, and constantly make you feel like you're the one who's crazy when you try to bring it up. And they sometimes the things that they do are so small, so little. I've said this example before, but there was an example of a husband who, used to stop at Starbucks all the time, and he would get out of the car and ask the wife if she wanted anything, and then he would get back in the car and have only his coffee and not what she had asked for, and she'd say, oh, what happened to mine? Oh, sorry, I forgot. And, he would just drive away. And, that's the kind of thing, like if you bring it up, it's like, oh, you're just so crazy. It was inadvertent. I didn't mean it. And sometimes these things are so small that, it's like you think to yourself, well, am I going to blow up a marriage over this? Or if I tell people, do they think I'm sounding petty? But it's this constant little drip, drip, drip on your forehead. where, you know, you just feel like you're going insane. Or I've heard the term death by 1,000 cuts. That's another way that you can describe it. It's like just like little by little, you're just being cut to pieces. So that's the first one. You're crazy and you need help. So nice, very charming, very charming. The second one is you're just insecure and jealous. So, you know, this is the one where you found texts on the phone with somebody that they work with and it seems kind of flirtatious. Or, you know, you see pictures where someone else is wearing his jacket, or, you know, they seem to be a little too chummy at work and maybe they're talking about stuff that they shouldn't. You know, you're just starting to see these little signs of things that don't seem right. They don't add up. And, you know, you're just insecure and jealous. I actually had a client one time who had followed her husband to a hotel with this other woman. She actually saw them go into the hotel. She even had the credit card receipt that showed that they had gotten a room at the hotel. They were in there for like an hour, and then they came out of the hotel room, and she told me that he said nothing happened in the hotel. They just talked. So, and she was like, wanting to know if she should believe him. And I honestly, I don't have any judgment about that, because you know what? She had probably lived with such gaslighting for so many years that she really didn't know what to believe anymore, even if it's so obvious to the rest of the world. Because, you know, he told her, you're crazy, you're jealous, you're overreacting. And so she was questioning whether or not she really was, because that's gaslighting. It makes you question your own sanity. The next one is, it was just a joke. So they say something like super mean, like, oh, you walk really funny, or the way you chew is weird, or something like that. Oh, I was just joking. It was just, oh, can't you just take a joke? You're so serious. What's wrong with you? When they say like hurtful things, oh, ha, that was really supposed to be just funny. You can't take a joke? Oh, you know, obviously, you know, you're just, you know, super stiff, and there's something wrong with you. And if you are so ready to fight back against that narcissist gaslighting, give me a fight back in the comments. The next one is, I never said or did that. I never said that. I never did that, even though they clearly said or did that. Even if you have proof, even if you have emails, you know, whatever it is, they just changed that. I never said that exactly. I had a client one time who his soon-to-be ex-wife said that, you know, if he didn't do what she said that she wanted him to do, that she was going to contact the authorities. And he wrote back and said something like, you know, there's no reason to threaten that you're going to call the cops. And she wrote back and said, I never said I was calling the cops. I said I would contact the authorities. And so clearly, you know, that's just like changing it. I never said that, even though that's exactly what she said. And she knew that that's what she wanted him to think that she meant. And so she just changed it. You know, so that's a really, really good example of gaslighting. Last one is my favorite, because, you know, when you're dealing with them and negotiating, it's, you know, something you see all the time, which is moving the goalposts. And you see that in negotiation, where they constantly, you know, you're trying to resolve the issue, and, you know, you finally like agree to whatever it is that they are offering. And now all of a sudden, that's no longer on the table. You have to go and renegotiate it again, and they make it your fault that the deal has changed.
It seems like every celebrity has access to GLP-1s these days, but what about the rest of us? Now you don't need to be rich or famous to access personalized, tailored weight loss solutions just for you. Through Hers, you can take control of your health. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing access to holistic weight loss solutions, including GLP-1 treatments with the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy, oral medication kits, and more. You'll connect with a medical provider who will develop a plan based on your needs. And if prescribed, your medication is included as part of a doctor-designed weight loss program, complete with ongoing care, online support, all at no additional cost. Plans start at just $199 a month with a 12-month subscription, paid up front, and your treatment ships directly to your door. So if you've been struggling with weight loss and you want to find the right solution just for you, start your free online visit today at forhers.com/negotiate. That's forhers.com/negotiate for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded programs are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required, restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Let's talk about this gaslighting thing. So narcissists love to use gaslighting. It is a way to make you feel like you're crazy. It is a word that stems from an old movie, which was also apparently a show back in the 30s. And what the premise was is there was a husband who was trying to make the wife feel like she was crazy. So he would blow out these gas lights and she would say, "Wasn't that just lit?" And he would say, "No, no, it wasn't." So that's what he did. Apparently, in the end, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, which I haven't even seen it myself, but apparently he she ends up being onto him, which is going to be the outcome for you, whether you're dealing with them in a personal situation or divorce or whatever your situation is. Maybe it's a probate situation, maybe it's a business partner, maybe it's future clients or people that you're having to deal with in any aspect of your life. It really doesn't matter because you're going to see gaslighting if you're dealing with a narcissist. It's one of the things that they love to do. And so let's talk about gaslighting. So gaslighting, as I mentioned, is a way to make you think that you're crazy. There are many different ways that they use gaslighting. They straight up just lie to your face. They manipulate reality. They project, they deflect, they use other people as their scapegoats, or they just, try to coerce you and pressure you. However, they're using it, it's basically all the same. And they use it if they're covert, they use it if they're overt. It doesn't really matter what kind of narcissist you are looking at. By the way, if you want to know more about the covert passive aggressive narcissist, I have a whole video on that special type of person. Yeah, I had to deal with a couple of them, of them in my own personal life, not as a husband, but people close enough to help me see the light as to what they actually look like, causing lots of drama, trauma, and chaos in my own life. And I know how horrible it is. And this is why I'm on a mission over here. I have a personal crusade, as I'm pretty sure the only lawyer on the planet who actually has a way to negotiate with narcissists. And that's why I have such a personal mission on this. Anyway, let's talk about those 8 gaslighting phrases, shall we? All right. So, number 1 is we discussed that and you agreed. Like they say that they've planned something for the weekend. It happens to be your anniversary weekend and they're going away with the boys. And you're like, "You're going away on our anniversary?" And he says, "Yeah, we are. And I already told you that and you agreed to that." And you're like, "I never heard about this trip ever." But that's the kind of thing that they do. We discussed that and you agreed. So that's number 1. Number 2 is adding "ha" or "can't you take a joke" to the end of a cruel sentence. "Oh, you're just overly sensitive. Oh, can't you just take a joke?" Adding "ha" to the end of a sentence does not make it funny, and it doesn't make it less punchy or hurtful or cruel, which they actually know, by the way, but they think that they're adding "ha" to it so that they get to hurt you, but they don't get to be blamed as a hurtful person. It's kind of really weird and screwed up. I know. I'm not making this up. You all know that you've seen this, right? And so give me a right in the comments if you have definitely seen this before so far. All right, next one, number 3 is changing what you're trying to hold them accountable for. So, you're saying that they were supposed to do the books at the office or something like that. They'll say, "Oh, but look what I've done. I did all of this stuff." And so they're like moving the target so that they're no longer talking about what they were actually supposed to do. I actually had this with somebody who was supposed to do some work for me, like an outside vendor, and they were supposed to help me accomplish a certain task. And when I was trying to hold them accountable for it, they just started telling me about the other benefits that I received from, not even from them, but like people that they introduced me to. And so, therefore, I shouldn't look at the fact that they shouldn't be held accountable for what they were supposed to be doing. I know, really messed up. So, the next one is I never did that or said that. You're imagining things. So, something that they did or something that they said, they will say that you are imagining. Okay, number 5 is you're way too emotional. So now they're going to take issue with how you're saying it, that you're emotional, you're upset. I don't like your tone. I don't like the way you said that. You are shouting at me. And now you're just talking about that. And again, it's gaslighting to not have to take responsibility. It's about you. It's you're upset, you're emotional, you're shouting. Even if you're not shouting, even if you're like talking like this, you're shouting at them. And so now you're the one who's the problem. So, why they use gaslighting is it's a way to destabilize you, get control over you, and, make you think that you're crazy. And so that you don't see who they really are. You start to question your own mind. You're seriously traumatized, and sometimes, getting over that can be as bad as being deprogrammed if you were in a religious cult or something like that. You have to really reprogram your brain. You have to really change your neuronal patterns. I was actually talking to a client yesterday, and she was saying that she actually went to see Joe Dispenza speak like 5 times in a whole year because of having to reprogram her brain and reprogram her neuronal patterns and all that. And so that's the kind of thing that they do and why they do it. And especially when you're negotiating with them, you want to make sure that you start to see it, because then it will be much easier for you to realize, oh, that's off. I know my tone wasn't bad. I know we didn't discuss that. I know I never agreed to that. And it will give you so much more power when you are negotiating with them. All right. So the next one is you're just insecure, or maybe you're just jealous. You're making too much of things. This is especially if you're in a personal relationship and you're trying to call them out on their behavior, or you catch them, doing something that they shouldn't be. They'll just try to make it seem like you're the one who's, crazy, insecure, jealous, making too much of things or whatever. The next one, number 7, is you're just crazy, or it's your fault. So, in other words, if they ended up doing something that they shouldn't have, maybe they cheated on you or something like that, it becomes your fault because you didn't give them enough sex, or something like that. I do have a whole video, by the way, on narcissism and sex and how narcissists do use sex to control you. It's really an extension of how they behave in the rest of their lives and in their world and in their relationships. But it can be especially hurtful and demoralizing. So if you want to check that out, you definitely can. And the last one is that never happened. So, things that happened that happened, and you even have proof that they happened, they will literally, without blinking, say that never happened. I'm often reminded of the George Costanza, where, in Seinfeld, where he was like, it's not a lie if you believe it. And so sometimes I wonder if they actually believe their lies or not. But that is one thing that they do. The key is to understand that this is what they do. It is a way to try to shift your reality and question your own mind. And the key is in starting to look at it, observe it, see it for what it is, almost see it as like a third person, and recognize it when it happens, especially in negotiations, so that you can just hold steady, hold fast, and be able to know what is real and what isn't. And this, this definitely happens when they move goalposts and they change deals and all that sort of thing, too. So I'm so glad you're here, because today I'm going to be sharing with you 8 phrases that narcissists use to manipulate you, so that when you see it coming, you'll be able to spot it. You'll be able to turn it around. You're going to be able to start looking at it almost like as a third party and go, okay, got it. Now I see what you're up to. Now I see what you're trying to do. And by the way, because you're saying these things, I know that you're a narcissist. All right, so let's dive in. The first one is they'll say something like, I guess I'm a bad person. You're trying to make a point about something. You're pointing out something like they didn't do something that they said they were going to do, or they did something that they shouldn't have. And you're just trying to get them to take responsibility. You're trying to have a conversation with them. And what they try to do then is they just become the victim. Oh, I guess I'm just a bad person. You're just attacking me. I guess I should just die. I should, and instead of now having a conversation, you're the one who's attacking them. You should feel bad, especially if they're a covert narcissist. Then you might see tears starting to flow, something like that. If you want to know more about the covert passive aggressive narcissist, definitely check out my video on the covert passive aggressive narcissist. And I also have one on covert narcissists in relationships, because I really detest covert narcissists because I had to deal with a couple of them in my own life. But the very first thing that they say is, I guess I'm a bad person. They shift it around, they make themselves the victim. All right. So that's number one. Number two is, do I still matter? Now we're not talking about the issue at hand. It's again, they're turning it around. They don't want to have to take responsibility for whatever it is that they should have done or didn't do, or did do and shouldn't have, or whatever it is. Or whatever it is that they said. Maybe you're hurt, maybe you're upset about something. They don't want to have to be responsible for that. They don't want to have that light shining on themselves. So they will do whatever they need to get that off of themselves and move it to a different direction. And so another thing they'll say is, do I still matter? Uh, doesn't the relationship matter to you? Why are you doing this? Why are you bringing this up now? What is it that you need to do now about this? And instead of like actually addressing the issue, it becomes all about all of that stuff. However they can create noise around it, that's what they will do. Okay, so then the next one is, if that's the way you feel, in other words, like kind of diminishing your feelings, diminishing whatever it is that you're bringing up to them. I guess so, if that's the way you feel about it. And it might even be like in a mocking tone, it might be in a sarcastic tone. They're definitely letting you know that whatever it is that you're deciding to do is probably a terrible idea. They're very judgmental about it. They want you to feel bad about whatever it is that you're deciding to do. If that's the way you feel. Okay. So, all right. The next one is, if you loved me, then if you love me, then you won't do this. If you love me, then you will do this. If it's in a business setting, if you valued the relationship, if you value working with me, then you wouldn't say this, you wouldn't do this, or you would do this, whatever it is that you want them to do. So that's another way of getting them to, or getting you to be manipulated by them. And if you have totally seen this before, give me an amen in the comments. Okay, so the next one is you don't trust me. Again, this is a manipulation. They're doing something that you definitely don't trust them. And they're like, oh, you don't trust me. They're trying to make you feel bad. They're trying to make you feel guilty for not trusting them. How could you question them? They've always been there for you. They've always been by your side. Have they ever let you down? And of course, you're thinking, yeah, you have. And yeah, I don't trust you. But, then they start playing on your emotions. They start playing on your feelings. And especially if you're an empath or you're an empathic person, it's really, really hard to stand back up to that. And if you want to know more about that symbiotic relationship between the narcissists and the empaths, definitely check out my video on that topic, because there is definitely sort of this, lethal attraction that goes on there between narcissists and empaths. But anyway, that's the next one. You don't trust me. All right. So the next one is I've never seen anything this bad before. I've never seen anyone do anything like this before. Trying to make you feel like you're the only one who's ever asked this, done this, said this, whatever it is. And if you want to know more about that, definitely check out my video on Narcissist favorite sayings. But that is something that they do as well, to try to manipulate you. I've never seen this. I've never done this. I've never seen anyone, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the next one is we talked about. This is a really, really famous one. It's a gaslighting type of a phrase that a lot of covert narcissists especially use. We talked about that. Don't you remember? You agreed. Uh, and you never had that conversation before. You never agreed to anything. But after a while, they prey on your sanity, and then you start to question your sanity. Well, maybe we did talk about that. I don't even remember now. But that's what they do. That's how they manipulate that and eventually, because they've messed with your mind so much, they start to have power and control over you. But once you start to see it and you start to notice it, then it'll stop, and you'll start to realize what's actually going on, and you're waking up, because that's why you're here, right? Okay. And the last one is I would never, trying to shame you. I would never do this. I would never say that. I would never let you down like that. I would never accuse you of anything. I would never talk to my friends about you. All those sorts of things, even though they definitely would. But that's one of the things that they say is I would never. So that's one of the other manipulation phrases that narcissists use. They love to manipulate. And so what do you have to do in response? You have to ethically manipulate the manipulator right back. And that's what I teach you how to do. I'll admit it, I'm that person. I'm the one the night before a birthday, an anniversary, or any kind of special occasion, I'm frantically searching the aisles for the right card, and one that doesn't seem kind of corny or cringeworthy. You know the struggle, right? But then I found Moonpig. It's a total game changer. They have tons of adorable, funny, even heartfelt designs ready to go. And you can even personalize them, which is super cool. You can even upload your favorite photos or tweak the text to make it uniquely you. And they'll even suggest clever messages if you're feeling stuck. Oh, and no more forgetting birthdays or scrambling for addresses. Moonpig lets you save everything in one place and even sends you reminders. Plus, they've got the opportunity to upload gift cards from all your favorite places like Sephora or Starbucks, so you can really nail that perfect gift vibe. Once you've designed your card, they'll even mail it for you, or if you want to hand deliver it, they'll send it to you with a cool envelope. So guess what? This is your chance. Your first card is totally free. Just use the code FREE and go to moonpig.com/US/negotiate. Seriously, stop stressing and start impressing. Make someone's day with Moonpig. Try it right now. And this whole video is on phrases that a narcissist uses to lower your self esteem. And by the way, I have phrases to disarm narcissists, which you can check out and grab for yourself. And you can get those at disarmthenarc.com, and use those to help yourself in emails, text messages, and even conversations. So let's talk about how covert narcissists subtly, very stealthily, and I think they're the worst ones when it comes to this, because in a lot of ways, the most dangerous, because nobody else can see it. Death by a thousand cuts come at you in the worst way, lower your self esteem. I've dealt with them. So this is why I'm like, ugh, it's so painful. The reason why they're the worst ones is because when you go to tell people about it, people are like, I don't know, that doesn't seem so bad. Or maybe you're misunderstanding, or they seem so nice, or I think that you're misreading it. I think that maybe you're overblowing it, because they're really kind people. They're so wonderful. Most of the time when you go to tell people about it, they don't see it, or it doesn't seem that bad, because it's little tiny things that add up, and they end up driving you crazy, just a little bit at a time. And so the kinds of things that a covert narcissist will do to lower your self-esteem, they're not going to openly say, "Hey, you are a piece of crap." They don't say it like that. It's tiny, tiny little things like, "Wow, you look great since you lost the weight. Oh, too bad about those stretch marks. But, I'm sure you can get rid of those, over time. But I mean, you look great." Like it's like little things like that. Or, you've definitely lost that baby weight. I mean, and you have a little ways to go, but you've come a long way. It's like little things like that. Or they might say something like, super mean, and then they'll say, "Oh, I was just joking. Oh, you can't take a joke," or, "How come you're so oversensitive?" Something like that. And a lot of times, if you're in a relationship with them, you can tell that they're not happy for you. There's that undercurrent of competition or passive aggression. Like if something good happens to you, they'll be like, "Oh, that's great for you. That's wonderful. Congratulations." And, when you question them on it, "Aren't you happy for me? I just said I was happy for you. I just said congratulations." "Yes, congratulations. Congratulations." And then when anybody questions it, they can say, "I said congratulations." And then they'll even be the first ones to maybe have a party for you and make it seem like they're so happy for you. But you know that there's this undercurrent that they're not, that there's this thing, and that they actually weren't happy for you. I mean, I remember, having this person in my life who was a long time partner, and she would say, "Oh, what was the name of your book again? I can't remember." And it was like meant to be a dig. She knew it was meant to be a dig, and I knew it was meant to be a dig, but nobody else could see that. You go to tell somebody about that, and everybody else in the world would be like, "Why is that so bad? That's not a big thing." But little things like that add up over time, and you know that that's what it's meant to be. Or if somebody says, "Congratulations on your new home." "Oh, I see that it's on the water. I mean, you're going to have to deal with the mosquitoes, but that's a bummer." You know that that's meant to be is like it's meant to be a dig, but other people won't necessarily see it that way. Or a covert narcissist might try to guilt you into things. They might say, you just go on and have fun. I'll just stay here. It's okay. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. And that that's like to make you feel bad and to also sort of lower your self-esteem, especially if you are a child of a covert narcissist. And another way that they try to lower your self-esteem is to try to make you feel bad, and in another way is like nothing you ever do is good enough. You're trying to make them happy, and you're trying to say fulfill what it is that they want, and they'll be like, yeah, that's good, thank you, you know and you can just tell that no matter what you do, it's never quite measuring up. You're never going to get there. They'll never say great job, thank you, you're amazing, you're wonderful. They'll always sort of make you feel like you're falling short. You're just, yeah, that was good, but I mean, you could have done better, but okay, thanks. So just to try to keep you feeling like you're never quite good enough, or I gave you so much. I give you so much, and you don't ever really give back to me. You don't really show me enough. They might pull that one too. I give you everything. You don't ever do anything for me. And so they always feel like whatever it is that you're doing doesn't measure up, doesn't pull enough weight for them, so that you always feel like you're falling short for them, so that they're kind of turning themselves into the victim no matter what you do. So that's another thing that they do. And by the way, if you've seen any of this, give me an amen in the comments. I'd love to know if you agree with me in this so far. So, and they're really, really good at what I call plausible deniability, clean hands. The covert narcissists are the best at this, the best at this, so that no one can touch them. Meaning when you go to tell people what they've done, they can always be wide-eyed and innocent and be like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything wrong. I was simply just giving them a compliment. What? How can they have taken that badly? I said that she had lost the weight. She took that badly? I was just saying how great she looked. Oh my gosh. Like that. And they literally are like, what? So they have this like whole plausible deniability thing. And again, they become this victim, clean hands, so they're very good at keeping themselves clean as much as possible. Another thing that they'll do is give people a gift that the target knows is some sort of a put down, or it's some kind of a sale item, or some sort of a clearance rack, something, I don't know, something that the target knows is meant to be a message of some sort, but everybody else thinks, oh my goodness, this person gave them a gift, how nice. But the target knows that it was meant to be some sort of a message, some sort of a put down, or it might be even like a third party message, like a way to triangulate in some way. But everybody else is like, oh look, they gave a gift, how nice. So that's the kind of thing that they'll do as well. It's very, very stealth, very, very manipulative, always with an agenda. always, of course. Because with narcissists, there's always some sort of an agenda. They want to make sure somebody's watching. There's some sort of reason for what it is that they're doing, right? They always want to be able to keep that level of control, keep that level of that power dynamic so that you are sort of feeling that kind of squeeze from them, but in a very, very targeted way. They're much stealthier about it than the grandiose. The grandiose come on super strong. I think more of that bull in a china shop way and not as smart about it in a lot of ways than the covert narcissist. If you're dealing with a covert narcissist, you definitely do want some level of support because I know when I was dealing with a covert narcissist, I felt like I was going crazy. It was one of the most horrible times in my life. And so, if you are dealing with a covert narcissist, definitely get support, definitely get the help that you need. It's going to take some time to get that turned around. I say step one, don't run. Step two, make a U turn. And then step three, break free. You're turning this ship around and it takes time. You weren't conditioned overnight and you're not going to be deconditioned overnight. But when you're negotiating with a narcissist, you have to turn things around so that you can start feeling that power dynamic shift. Let's talk about those stealth ways that narcissists control conversations. Now, they're always trying to control you, right? They are manipulative by nature. But what are the ways that are really kind of stealthy, more secretive, more underhanded that they're trying to control conversations? The ways that, aren't as obvious that they're doing this. And you're trying to be over there nice, you're trying to be the good person. The fact that you're in a relationship with a narcissist probably means that you are a good person. Whether it's a business relationship, workplace, friendship, romantic relationship, a lot of times you're trying to be polite. You're trying to be the one who takes the higher road. And you're thinking, I don't know, what should I do here? So I just want to bring this up so that it makes it a little bit easier for you to recognize when these things happen. And you can go, oh, you know what? I knew that this was something. I knew that this was going on. Let's talk about number one. Number one is they all of a sudden start going, oh, I can't believe that you would bring this up and after all that I've done for you, I just tried to be a good mother. I just wanted to do something good for you. I really just wanted you to have some support. All of a sudden it's the guilt trip. All right, so number one is it's stealthy because it doesn't seem like controlling the conversation, but this is where they become the victim most of the time, where people think, oh, they're trying to control the conversation, where they actually are doing something to you. Stealthier because they've become the victim in this. They've turned themselves into that victim. Oh my gosh, I was just trying to do something good for you. And I was just trying to support you in that. And so all of a sudden it's been turned around like that, and now you're taking care of them. Oh, I know that you were doing that. I know that that's what you meant to do. I wasn't trying to attack you. I wasn't meaning to bring you any harm. And now they've taken back control of the conversation. You see how stealth that was? That's what happened there. And now you haven't been able to talk about anything. Number two is they changed the topic. So you are talking about something that happened. I had an interesting thing happen today. I was just leaving this appointment and I ended up finding out this thing from, I was at the dentist today, and the dentist was telling me all about blah, 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 whatever. Then all of a sudden, the person will say, I thought that you didn't really have time to talk to anybody when you were at the dentist. And now you're talking about that instead of what you wanted to talk about, which was the conversation that you actually had with the dentist. They changed the topic. Now you're having to defend yourself about, I thought you didn't really have time to talk to anybody when you were at the dentist. I thought you were in and out. I thought that you said that you were in a rush over there. And now you're defending yourself about the whole situation at the dentist instead of actually talking about what it was that you wanted to talk about. And so they've completely just changed the topic, and you never really get back to what it was that you wanted to talk about. So they've just hijacked the conversation completely. That's another way that they control the conversation. They start questioning another portion of what it is that you're talking about, and then you end up talking about that instead of what it was that you really wanted to talk about in the first place. All right, so that's number two. Number three is they start raising their voice. They start to raise their voice, and you start to go, why are you raising your voice? And they'll deny that they're raising their voice, and you'll say, you are. And why are you angry? You seem angry. No, I'm not. And then you get into a whole thing around that instead of what it is that you wanted to actually talk about. Again, a way to hijack conversations. It's very, very stealth, but they will do that. Okay, so that's another way to control conversations. It's very, very stealth, but it's again a way to control conversations. So that's number four. Number five is they will interrupt you. They will say, you'll be trying to tell them what it is that you want to tell them, especially if it's something that is really, really important to you. Anything that's important to you, something that is around your work, something that's around your needs, something that's going on with somebody in your family. I mean, anything that's has anything to do with anything else other than them that they don't want to have to hear about, then they'll just start interrupting. They'll be like, can we talk about this later? I'm trying to hear you, but why are you talking about this at this moment? I can't hear you right now. That the radio is too loud. Just the way you're saying this, you're not making any sense. Who's that now? And they just interrupt everything that you're saying so that the flow of the kinds of things that you're saying, you end up losing flow. Oh, that's not the thing that you just said. I couldn't follow you. Oh, now you're attacking me. No, I didn't attack you. Oh, yes, you actually did. And then you end up fighting about that. And then, so then the whole thing ends up being completely derailed again, because the whole point of everything is derailing the conversation. They want to make sure that the conversation gets hacked, gets derailed, gets controlled. And it's also, again, very stealth, because as long as when you try to get them back on track and you say, hey, listen, we never get to the point of my conversation, they'll completely deny it, and they'll say, it's your fault. You had a problem delivering it. I was here. I was trying to listen. You just never got to the point. You were the one who didn't tell me what it was. I was sitting right here. I was sitting here the whole time. You were the one who didn't finish the sentence. You were the one that kept interrupting me. What was your problem? You're the one that started raising your voice. The whole thing that it'll all be your fault that you just couldn't get to the finish. You just couldn't figure out a way to deliver the content to them. So that's the next one. By the way, you totally deserve better. You totally deserve better. You totally deserve respect. And I want you to put that in the comments right now. I deserve respect. This is not how normal people have conversations. This is not a regular thing. And you know this because when you have conversations with regular people have a back and forth. They will talk to each other like regular people. I mean, they don't have this constant back and forth discussions like this. And another stealth way that a narcissist will try to control a conversation is that they will act like they don't understand what it is that you're talking about. They'll just feign misunderstanding. I don't understand what it is that you're talking about. I don't remember. I have no clue. That doesn't make any sense to me. We're going to have to talk about this later. They'll just basically then just get up and leave. They'll just stop the conversation altogether. Basically, just end the conversation. You just terminate it because they don't understand it. And so they'll just abort the conversation completely because they'll just lose interest and start talking to somebody else. And so you'll just be done. So that's the next one. And then finally, the last one is just ignore you completely. And that's another way to control conversations. And you'll see this specifically in text messages or emails. And it's a really interesting thing because a lot of times the way you see this show up is they will send you a text that's extremely inflammatory. Why are you at this person's house? Or something to that effect. Or what's going on with this? And they'll screenshot something and send it to you like right in the middle of a meeting that they know is really, really important to you, or something is happening. And then you'll immediately write back going, that this is blah, 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 blah. And they're watching and they're reading it, or they even leave it on read or something like that, where it's like, that they've read it and they do not respond. They refuse to respond. To complete silent treatment, complete ghosting. Another way to control you, another way to control conversations, extremely stealth. And then, what can you do? You can't do anything about it, especially if they know that you're stuck like at work or in a place where, you can't get to them or you can't do anything about it for a period of time. It's the worst because they know that you are going crazy, and that's why they do it. All right, let's talk about those 8 favorite narcissist catchphrases. Number 1 is, you can trust me. And normally they say this in response to something where you felt like you couldn't trust them. I will give you an example. I was in a small, very brief business with someone, and this person put money that was supposed to go into the business account. It was money that had been generated by the business into her own personal account. And when I questioned her about where the money was, she said, oh, she had to put it in her personal account because she didn't know how to put the money into the business account. Do you smell BS? Yeah, I did. Definitely, I did too. So when I called her out on it, she said, well, she will transfer it back into the business account, but she didn't know how to do it So she had to, to classify it. She wanted to consult with her CPA or her bookkeeper to find out what the best way would be to transfer it and how to classify it and for bookkeeping purposes. Yeah, I definitely lots of BS, right? But she punctuated that whole conversation with me with, you can trust me. This person was definitely a covert narcissist. And yeah, you can trust me. Definitely you can't. And so they normally do say it in response to something where you're feeling like you can't trust them. So, what I'm here to tell you is trust your gut, don't trust them. All right, number two, ready? Number two is stop interrupting me, stop attacking me. Again, they normally say this in response to you are trying to make a point, you're trying to get them to take responsibility for something. Maybe it's something that you want for yourself from them. And so they project and deflect by saying that you're attacking them or that you're interrupting them. I mean, maybe you're catching them in some sort of a lie. And so project and deflect are two of the ways that they handle that. If you want to know more about what happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie, by the way, you can definitely check out my video on that subject as well. All right, number three, I don't like the way you said that. So again, it's a way of projecting and deflecting. It's attack what you said, how you said it, when you said it, because then it's about that. They want the conversation to not be about whatever it is that you wanted it to be about. They want to push it off into something else. All right. And that way they're not having to take responsibility. They've slithered out. It's sort of like trying to hold a fish or something. They slide out. So that's number three. Number four is I never said that. I have no idea what you're talking about. Or the flip of this is we did talk about that. Don't you remember? You know what that is. All right. Everybody say it with me. Gaslighting. Yes, one of their favorites. Oh, yes, they love the gaslighting, especially the coverts. Really, they all love the gaslighting. But anyway, it's one of their favorite little tricks in their little bag of toxic tricks. So they'll say, I never said that, or I did say that. The reason why they gaslight, by the way, is because it helps to weaken you and destabilize you so that you're more under their control, and you start to question your own mind, you start to question your own sanity, you start to believe that they know better and that you don't. And after years and years of it, it's almost like you're having to deprogram your brain from being brainwashed, almost like a cult. So, it definitely takes some good therapy with a therapist who does definitely understand narcissism. I highly recommend that. Okay, so the last four are all absolutes. Okay, so it's like, remember that narcissists are always about black and white. So it's either you're the best person they've ever met or the worst person you've ever met. You're either for them or you're against them. There's a winner and there's a loser, especially in negotiations. They want to come out looking like the winner. You really have to remember that if you're not going to be for them, then they definitely are going to think you're against them. And then you become public enemy number one. So the last four of the things that they say are absolutes because they love to speak in absolutes. So number five is no one else. No one else thinks that. No one else believes you. No one else says things like that. You're the only one. They want you to feel like you're ganged up on, like you're bullied on, like, they've got their flying monkeys all believing them. And that kind of leads me to number six, which is everyone else. So everyone else thinks that I'm right. Everyone else thinks that I'm fantastic. Everyone else thinks I'm a great dad, mother, business partner, whatever else it is. Everyone else thinks I'm kind, wonderful. You're the only one Who doesn't think that? Again, to weaken you, destabilize you, question your own mind, think you're crazy, feel ganged up on, feel controlled. It's a way to manipulate you, one up you, push you down, degrade you. That's what it's meant to do. All right. And if you think I'm spot on so far, give me a spot on in the comments. All right. Number seven. Number seven and number eight go together. It's number seven is always, and number eight is never. And again, it's with these absolutes, I always do everything that I'm supposed to do. You never give me what I want, things like that. So it's always and never. They love to use these absolutes because it makes them feel powerful and makes you feel worse, which is the goal.